Order 7:31 p.m. Wednesday, November 19th.
Councilwoman Selby,
Present.
Councilman Kurdichini,
Present.
Supervisor Keating,
Present.
Councilwoman Lukacek. Present. Councilwoman Martin.
Present.
Councilman Kurdichini, will please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we do not have any other preliminary matters tonight, so we'll move on to item number 2, which is our regular business. The first item is the correction and adoption of the minutes from the November 5th, 2025 meeting. And Councilwoman Lukacek, would you like to take that item tonight?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I reviewed the draft minutes for November 5th board meeting, and I make no changes or edits. Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Selby,
Yes.
Councilman Kurdichini,
Yes.
Supervisor Keating,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lukacek,
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin.
Abstain.
Motion carried.
All right, item number 2 is the consideration of all of our fund bills. And Councilwoman Sully, would you like to take that item tonight?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Upon review of the abstract, I would like to make a motion to make payments in the total amount of $312,037.23.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Selby,
Yes.
Councilman Kurdichini,
Yes.
Supervisor Keating,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lukacek,
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, moving right along. Item number 3 is our correspondence tonight, and we have 7 items, all part of the board packet and available in the town clerk's office for review, and they are as follows. Item 1 is the town clerk's report for October of 2025. Item 2 is the dog control officer report for October of 2025. Item 3 is the code enforcement officer report for October of 2025. Item number 4 are the income statements for October of 2025. Item number 5 are the cash balances for October of 2025. Item number 6 is the NYSEG and RG&E prepared for heavy rain and winds, which was that windstorm that came through Wednesday, November 4th, 2025. And item 7 is an application for use of meeting facility from the Thornwood Park HOA. Again, all those items are in the board packet and in the town clerk's office for review. Moving on to our new business, which is item number 4. Our first item, as always, are requests from the floor. If anyone would like to come up to the microphone, the floor is open. Please state your name and address, and it is 3 minutes per person. The floor is now open.
Go ahead.
Richard Hawkins, 6892 Pin Oak Drive. I just have a couple of short things. Does the town still have a code of conduct or still a committee that they used to do?
You talking about ethics committee?
Ethics committee?
Ethics committee, yes. Same thing as far as I'm concerned.
No, we've sought volunteers for the ethics committee for a number of years, and we have not received any applications.
Okay, also, 2 weeks ago, I brought up a public hearing. Do we have any idea when that public hearing might take place before the first of the year, hopefully?
So there was a discussion with the town board downstairs last night. I think there's going to be probably some additional, I won't speak for my fellow board members, but I'm presuming there'll be some additional conversation. The process for that petition would then be that the town board would refer to the planning board for their review and opinion. And after that information comes back to the town board, at that point in time, we would then schedule the public hearing. So I don't have a timeline
It would
yet.
go from the town board to the planning board,
Yes.
and then the planning board referred it back to the town board?
Yes.
Is that?
We follow the process.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Also, one other thing, I know years ago, one of the past administrations, in fact, it was one of ours when Mr. Egan and I was in town, we had, for the few years that we were involved, put money away for a senior citizens complex, and the money is still sitting there, because that's what it's designated for. I still feel that the town is in need of some place for the seniors to go. I mean, we can talk about blood drives that interferes with it. We can talk about Board of Elections meetings that interferes with it, and other things. We still have 2 very strong groups in the town, senior citizens, that really would like to meet and not feel like they're being kicked out of the lunch program or any other thing, because of the certain time frames on it. I was just asked the board to possibly consider putting something back into the budget each year so we could build that up so that we had maybe an empty building, an existing building, where we could possibly use that or use towards whatever, of trying to see that that comes to tuition someday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Roy McLean, 6887 Pin Oak Drive. I was here a couple weeks ago. So what Rich was just asking, we asked about a public hearing. I heard a lot of process, but I'd love to hear some dates. Like when you're gonna present it to the planning board, when do you expect the results back from them, when do you intend to present that to the public? So I'm glad there's a process, but accountability matters, so putting some dates on that would be good. So is that gonna be something you're gonna accomplish this week or next week? And when do we expect to hear results back from the planning board? So the process is you need to go and see them. Are you doing that tomorrow?
No, there was nothing that was added to the
Planning
law.
board won't be till December 11th.
Correct.
But to get the public hearing, you can get that ball rolling. I just don't want to hear process without accountability, so dates would be great.
Totally understand.
Last week, you had mentioned contacting someone from the county or state. I believe that was directed to the other council members or perhaps the highway supervisor about flooding. It was Mark so-and-so.
Mark Gaston.
Mark Gaston. Was that intended for residents to go search this person out?
No, the town engineer was on site from Labella and took a look at that information and had passed it along to Mark Aston.
Gotcha. So is there, again, accountability with that? When did that happen and when are we expecting results back again?
This is still a civil matter, not exactly a town matter, because again, so everybody's.
Town's dumping water on private property. It's a town matter. We can move
Understand.
on. I've only got 3 minutes.
I understand.
Accountability on all these things.
Fully
Every
understand.
2 weeks, I'm gonna be here asking these questions.
You're welcome to be here, and thank you for your
And
time.
you need to answer the questions around these dates. Like when you say, I'm gonna follow up with so-and-so, now I'm gonna be here every 2 weeks asking, what date are you doing that on? Is that gonna be tomorrow? Every 2 weeks.
Fair enough.
I don't think, telling residents they go pursue something with a state entity is a really smart idea.
No,
What that really
with
says is
all
that
due
you're
respect,
relinquishing, excuse me, I only have a couple of
Sure.
minutes. What you're doing there is relinquishing responsibility and accountability to have other people doing that for you. That's not the job. Highway Department, you mentioned that, it's impossible, can't be solved, it's been that way forever, so on and so forth. That's not an acceptable answer, so I'd like to know what you've done in the last 2 weeks since the meeting to try and resolve the drainage problem, if anything at all. You can answer me when I'm finished. I heard multiple times last week, and I've heard it on the phone with you, Jason, as well, 2 hills in a valley. There are 2 hills in a valley. It's the answer for everything. It's really unacceptable. It should be embarrassing if the answer is, look, we're using 2 hills in a valley, we can't solve anything. Most communities that have challenging topographies get experts in, and over the course of decades, solve those problems, and typically become examples to other communities how to solve it. Drainage in this town's been a problem for at least 2.5 decades that I've been here. I haven't seen any improvement or any capability improvement to solve it going forward. I'd like to know what the town is going to do about that. If Labella is the town engineer, why are they not here? Why are they not listening to residents? Accountability. The last thing is the zoning board, and obviously this is for them, but you should be aware of it too. We want all of the zoning changes that have ever been made around all the parcels connected to Pin Oak Drive and the properties surrounding it for the last 25 years. I want to know when it got changed. When I moved into that street, it was a cornfield. Now it's suddenly R2 or R1, I don't know which one it might be. No one seems to know when those changes occurred. It should all be documented, so we're going to FOIL request all of that. And we don't want it on paper, we want it laid out on the table so we can come take pictures of all those records. Thanks.
Thank you. Bless you.
I'll get here eventually. Jim Stang, 7780A Eddy Road. I would like an update from the liaison officer that's working with the Boston Emergency Squad as what's going on there. I've been receiving a lot of questions from the citizens in the town because I was on emergency squad for 22 years and they've been coming to me. So like they say, I would like to take and have an enlightenment that we can have some answers instead of me just taking and saying, I don't know.
I mean, what What's the
What
question
are the
being asked?
questions?
What is going on between the squad and the town? There is no signed contract yet. There's scuttlebutt that you're gonna be moving in another commercial ambulance service, which I don't think will be cheaper than what we are, but I don't know why we can't take and look at Eden and look at Hamburg, where they've converted it, that they're taking and paying their volunteers now, and they're running a full-fledged ambulance, fully serviced. Because if we do get rid of the Boston Emergency Squad and that there, we're not gonna have a 7 or a 14-minute response time. It might be 40 minutes or it might be longer.
Yeah, respectfully, we're in contract negotiations, and that information at this time is not privy to the public.
Well, it's not privy to the public, but like I say, how long is this gonna go on?
I don't have that answer. The town has made multiple attempts to reach out to them to contact us, and those have gone unanswered by the squad. And that is all I'm going to divulge at this time.
Okay, okay. No, I just don't wanna see where the town board says the emergency squad is done. If the emergency squad is gonna be done, it should be an open referendum that the people take and vote on, not that the town.
Yes,
You're
there's
here to
laws.
represent us and that.
You are
and like I say, to represent us, you should hear from the people.
Yep, you are correct. There are laws for that.
Okay.
It's called dissolving a fire or ambulance district.
Okay.
There are specific state laws on that process.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Jay Jackson, 7964 Back Creek Road. Hamburg, an update for the manger. Hamburg overhead door okayed our placing the manger in their yard. I was a little late with my request, but Jennifer Kuhn did say, yeah, okay, you can. I posted, hey, let's go put the manger figures in, and I had never asked for permission to actually put the manger in their yard, so that got cleaned up. North Boston Garage, Dave Gerwitz is gonna place and remove the manger trailer when the time comes. You are all welcome to come on the Saturday after Thanksgiving to help us move the figures in and decorate stuff. We have donations of a couple bales of straw. I don't know if you've ever noticed, the gentleman's name, I believe, is Tim. We need one bale to put into the manger and another one for as a kneeler for Tim. He comes and prays at the manger, which I think that's pretty neat. We have also some donation of pine boughs. The town parks folks drove the placement stake. I'm really grateful that they do that, because there's a spot that it gets muddy and they know right where it is, so that goes in the right place. So far, public response has all been positive. Now granted, that's all social media. With regards to the holiday lights, it's great to see the lights being hung by our outstanding Parks Department. Okay, they're out there setting that stuff up. Some might suggest it's before Thanksgiving, but it's tough to argue with the great weather that they've had to actually put the lights up to begin with. Last Wednesday, our town met with Labella Engineering and NYSEG to discuss the lighting wiring upgrade, and it was indeed a productive meeting. The wiring is, some of the wiring is in really, really bad shape. I mean, we're talking, I think y'all saw the pictures, but just to describe it for anybody who might be paying attention, some of the conduit is hanging, 2 or 3 feet off of the pole at the top, and the wire just kind of sort of comes back, and it's just wire hanging in the air. That's not how it's supposed to look. So that Labella gave us those pictures. Let's see, and we did get the approval from NYSEG to use our existing, I'm sorry if I mentioned this last time, we can use the existing poles. As long as the receptacle functions, we can hang lights up there. Labella is working up a configuration, a wiring configuration. Fortunately, we only have 2 pole types. At one point, we were kicking around, oh, there's going to be 10 different types of poles. No, there's only going to be two. One of them with the receptacle up high for the light, and another one with the receptacle down low for the silhouette scenes. This is definitely a cost-saving process because what they're going to be, what the wiring company might be able to do is construct all of the receptacles and attachments all at once in a shop, and then attach it to the pole. Now, one of the nice things is the plan does provide for some future protection. Protections and benefits going forward. Perhaps our good supervisor will make mention of this in his report on those benefits. The NYSEG is hoping to get one work order for the entire set. That would apply to all of the new poles. They only need to get involved for where we need to attach the new wires. Just for some history, NYSEG at one point did indeed deny the ability of towns to actually attach the lights, to the holiday lights, to poles. And there was some pushback from mid-state, as we learned, and the senior management at NYSEG said, yeah, it's probably a good idea if we allow folks to do this. I did want to express my thanks to our good supervisor for moving the process along using the proper procedures. And the other piece is the possibility of the town covering the bill for this. The last thing that Supervisor Keating mentioned was that we might be able to cover this out of the existing budget. Now, there will be fundraiser to help this stuff along. We also need to be prepared, one last piece, yes, we also need to be prepared for NYSEG to come back and ask us questions on the wiring setup. Can't think of anything else associated with all this stuff. Happy Thanksgiving, great Thanksgiving, and happy Merry Christmas to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jay.
You can wake up, Rich.
Hey, gotta get us all in public record, you know?
You just did, wake up, Rich.
Again, okay.
Anyone else? All right, hearing nothing else, request from the floor is now closed. Item number two tonight under our new business is Resolution 2025-103, which is a resolution nominating myself, Jason Keating, to act as an initial board member for the Empire Public Investment Cooperative Fund of New York, also known as EPIC Fund New York, and to elect the remaining initial board of directors. And Councilman Carter Keating, would you like to take that item?
Sure. Before I make that motion, I would like to make a note that there have been some discussions, preliminary discussions, related to the LoSAP return, moving away possibly from a private entity to a more public entity where we might be able to do better. So with that said, and that was for Mr. Hawkins specifically. I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-103, which nominates Jason Keating to act as the initial board member of the Empire Public Investment Cooperative Fund of New York and electing the remaining initial board of directors. The motion's on the table.
If I could just add in there, only because I will be abstaining, this applies directly to me, but the other board of directors, this is all stipulated under New York State law, but it's David Urkovich, he's the comptroller for the town of Ballston, Jennifer Whitney, she's the finance manager for the town of Plattsburgh, Josh Kirby, he's the comptroller for the town of Glenville, and again, myself is town supervisor, town of Boston. Right, just want to put that.
None of these officers are compensated.
No,
This is all volunteer.
This is all volunteer. Right.
I'll second. Councilwoman Selby,
Yes.
Councilman Curtis,
Yes.
Supervisor Keating,
Abstain.
Councilwoman Lukacek,
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item 3 is Resolution 2025-104, approving an award of bid for the above-ground fuel storage project. And Councilwoman Lukacek, would you like to take that item tonight?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I make a motion that we approve resolution number 2025-104 for approving the award of bid for the above-ground fuel storage project. And the lowest responsible bidder that came in for the total of $293,000 to execute all, for the town supervisors authorized to direct on execute all necessary contract documents, agreements, and related papers to put this award and it's subject to review and approval by our attorney. The resolution was awarded to Loudon Building Company, again, for the amount of $293,000. I make a motion that we approve.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Selby?
Yes.
Councilman Karakini?
Yes.
Supervisor Keating?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lukacek?
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, item number 4 tonight is Resolution 2025-105. The topic of lights is prevalent here in the town of Boston. This is approving NYSEG, a SC, which means Service Class 4 service request form for energization of the lamp poles in the newly established lighting district on Deanna Drive. And Councilwoman Martin, would you like to take that item tonight?
Yes, Supervisor, I make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-105 to approve the service request form for energization of the lamp poles that will be on Deanna Drive. I just make the motion to approve this to get that lighting district started.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Selby?
Yes.
Councilman Karakini?
Yes.
Supervisor Keating?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lukacek?
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, item number 5 tonight is an application for use of sporting facility for the Southtown Slammers. And Councilman Perry King, would you like to take that item?
Sure, thank you Supervisor Keating. We've got an application for use of sporting facility from the Southtown Slammers, Mike Bellegama, president. They are requesting a number of dates for their league, 4/20/26 through October 29th, 2026. And they are planning to have the Town Hall Park, the North Boston Park, and Diamonds 1, 4, 2, and 2. Do we have any conflicts, Madam Clerk?
No, we do not, as the sporting leagues do need to converse with each other.
Yes. So with that said, I make a motion that we adopt this resolution.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Selby?
Yes.
Councilman Karakini?
Yes.
Supervisor Keating?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lukacek?
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, item 6 tonight is another application for use of facility from the Boston Young at Heart Seniors. And Councilwoman Martin, would you like to take that item?
Thank you, Supervisor. I make a motion to approve this application for use of facility for Boston Young at Heart Seniors for their meetings on the 2nd and 4th Fridays. There was an attached schedule that was given using the Town Hall Community Room with kitchen. And I'm assuming all those dates are available for those seniors meetings. Madam Clerk?
Those dates are available. There was also a request from Carolyn to waive the maintenance fee.
Yes. Yeah, as they do clean up after themselves and everything, so we're gonna waive that maintenance fee, and I make a motion to approve that.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Selby?
Yes.
Councilman Karakini?
Yes.
Supervisor Keating?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lukacek?
Yes.
Councilwoman Martin?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, that is it for our business. We have no old business. Reports and presentations. Highway Superintendent, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you. Leaf pickup is still going on. We'll be around for the rest of this week and probably next week. And that should pretty much do it. The leaves are really, most of them are down. Most people got them out the road and picked up, but we will be around. Last week we had our first snowfall. Highway guys did a good job plowing the streets and salting. They've been down the shop working on some of the trucks, preventive maintenance for the last week or two. A couple of guys, the other guys are picking up leaves. And this week or next week, before winter gets here, we want to go out and clean out some of our gravel dams with the trash racks where they, last few big rains we had washed down a lot of gravel and some leaves and stuff, so we want to get them cleaned out for the spring thaw, that they're cleaned out and ready to go in the spring. And that's all I have tonight.
All right, thank you very much. Councilwoman Selby, you have the floor.
I have no report tonight, except I hope everyone has a happy Thanksgiving next week. I believe it's next week already, so enjoy your families.
All right, thank you very much. Councilman Tardichini, you have the floor.
Thank you Supervisor Keating. Well, Mr. Jackson stole my thunder on the holiday lighting report. We had a very productive meeting with NYSEG, Labella, Jason, Jay Jackson, and myself. The long and the short of it is the gentleman that we have, I was somebody that was certainly not super thrilled with the engineering fee associated with this project. But the gentleman that we ended up with was in charge of the holiday lighting for a very prominent hospital. That was his past life. With that said, he brought a lot of innovation because he recognized some of the problems that they had with these lights on a daily basis. And he started right away with, how can we make this project super efficient for the town of Boston and something that's gonna not have maintenance costs associated with it. You know, there's weather related protections that we can do for it, but there's also convenient ways for our Parks Department, who I would also like to thank for starting the holiday decorations this week. But it makes their job easier. And a lot of this project is gonna be engineered and compiled within an electric company, and they're gonna bring these things out ready to put up. Another thing that was a real win for the town was we do not have to pay a hookup fee for outlets that are being updated. We only need to pay for those if they are a new connect. So there is an incentive for us to fix the receptacles that are there that Mr. Jackson so accurately described as hanging off the pole. We don't have to pay the hookup charge, which I believe is $283 per pole.
$263.
$263, I'm sorry. So we have 10 poles that are new. The rest of them are gonna be renovated and updated. So that's the good news. But I did wanna thank everybody for taking the time to have that meeting. It was very productive, and I walked away feeling a lot better about it. I'm not a big fan of spending money on engineers, but this is one where I think that the value is certainly there. Mr. McLean, you have two issues going on, and I respect both of them. You have a long-standing drainage problem at your home that we learned about at the last board meeting. I can appreciate that. But you also have another issue with a project that's getting started, adjacent to your house. One of the most frustrating things is sitting on this board is that you can't just do what you want to do, when you want to do it. There's a process to it. And I think it would be, I'm gonna be watching this project. I'm on record as saying that on the last meeting, because the drainage is gonna affect my property too. And I do know that, having worked with several people in this town on drainage, it's been an ongoing issue, it's gonna continue to be an ongoing issue. There are a lot of factors, and a lot of that has to do with the creek, and the way that the creek moves down to Lake Erie. So, you'd probably be happier if, and as hard as it is to say, follow the process, be involved in the process, but like, as far as dates and things like that, we don't always have the dates to give. And that's a frustrating thing. I can appreciate where you're at with it. But there's two issues, and we don't even have a formal project for that development or that site. There's speculation, there's been some work
We
happening.
should be careful to separate them as two completely different issues.
Yes.
Which I've done, right? I've been very intentional.
Yes,
By speaking about the drainage problem that's not being resolved.
yes,
So I don't want to confuse it with the development, it's a whole other issue,
right,
right?
right,
So the drainage problem is a drainage problem.
right,
It's not being addressed, it's not being, things are happening that no one's telling the residents.
right. It's also somebody else's property that,
The water on the street is the town's problem.
I
That
agree.
gentleman's responsible for it, it's not getting resolved.
So what do you expect us to do, run the water down the street?
Maybe hire an engineer that's more capable.
And run the water down the street, is that what you're saying?
I'm not an engineer, sir.
Is that what you're saying, you want us to run the water down the street?
I want you to hire an engineer to solve the problem. If you can't do it.
We don't have a problem. The water comes off the road and it's going
And
right
you
where it
dump
always
on
has.
someone's property, that's not.
My intention was not to start-
Ridiculous comments.
Sir, I respected your time, please
Absolutely.
respect mine. I didn't intend to start a debate on this. I just was pointing out that there's two different things. And I'm paying attention to both of those things. I want to see both of those things happen the way that they're supposed to happen according to what the law states. That includes somebody developing their property, that also includes drainage going onto somebody's private property. But there is a process for it. And
It's unclear what the process is.
very true, and like we had the drainage issue on, was it Wildwood or Thornwood? Thornwood and Park. That took an incredible amount of time to do. We also had another one
To be
over,
fair, the issue on Pinot Drive is not new. If you want to rewind the town meeting.
neither was that.
There's been plenty of issues. with
Again, I'm not trying to
other
start a
residents
debate,
here.
I'm just saying, I'd be happy to talk to you about these projects more specifically and the timeline associated with them, but I was involved in both of them. The one on the south side of town and one up here. It takes time. And when you get the county involved in it, it's worth doing, but it takes time. So I can appreciate that you want to be at every meeting and you want dates. I get that. You want
Because that's-
accountability.
That's accountability, that's all. we're
100%,
asking.
I'm with you on that. Just know that sometimes this board isn't going to be able to give you a date that you want to know.
If you can't provide a date, provide a reason you can't provide. it.
That's
all we're
easy enough
asking.
to
That's
do.
accountability, right?
Yeah,
I mean, flat out, the supervisor has said that the highway department can't solve the problem. The highway department says, we can't solve the problem, you know, and you're asking a resident to solve it for you, sir. That's completely ridiculous. If you can't handle the engineering that's required to solve the problem. then I
again, I
should-
wasn't trying, my intention
I'm
wasn't to
talking
start a
him.
debate.
I appreciate that, but you brought the topic up and you addressed it. And I appreciate everything you do, don't get me wrong. I do.
Right,
But the bottom line is, we get two officials, one saying, hey, it's his, he's the one who's gonna solve the problem. He's saying it's not a problem, or it is a problem, I don't know what to do with it. We have an engineer, supposedly town engineer, right? Did we hire Labella to do it? Did you, Mr. Telak, contact Labella and ask them to help you with a solution for Minnow Drive? Ever?
No, I don't have a problem on Pinot Drive.
No, the residents.
I don't have a
do.
problem with
The
it.
residents.
That
don't
water's
understand
gonna
the
cross that
residents.
road forever and went
Pushed it
through
on
the
the
middle of your
residents.
neighbor's yard and they diverted the water down the road
Pushed it
and then
on
they
to
built
the
the gutter
street.
that goes back that you're talking about.
You-
Then they built the gutter. You residents did all that. We don't have a problem. You have a
Okay,
problem.
great, so tomorrow we can block it and send it all down the street? Or will we have to?
It's
take-
just like Mr.
we have to take
Gravitini
a
probably
bucket of
doesn't like the
concrete
water
out of
crossing the
drain
road
and
going
block
through your property, do you?
No.
Don't you like to see that going down Boston State Road? Where's it gonna go?
Gravity is going to dictate where it's going to
That's right.
go, unfortunately.
That's right.
So
But
just
my
to be
next door
clear,
neighbor,
just
I
to
looked
be
at his
clear,
property
There's
today.
a 30-inch pipe that crosses Pin Drive up there. What are we gonna do? Put 30-inch pipes all the way down Pin Road?
maybe you have to. Maybe you have to
We
think
don't have to.
outside the box if you're stuck inside. I'm sorry, but.
I think there's value in looking at it, it was my point.
I agree with, I
Right.
agree with you, but the stonewalling that's happening over here with, we don't have an answer, we don't care, it's not my problem. You just said it out loud. You said the quiet part out loud, sir. It's not your problem because you're directing it onto someone else's.
You know what?
else's
There's
land.
creeks that cross every road and it goes
I
across
don't
private
care about
property.
other
No
roads,
different
I
than
care
the
about
creek that comes down Fennec Road and goes underneath my property. But
Congratulations.
you
That's
can't
not-
run
that's
every
not the
creek
topic.
down the road.
Okay, let's reel this back in, because this is not a back and forth dialogue session, this is a report session. So I'll let the dialogue go on, because I do think it's healthy to have these conversations. You and I have had these conversations as well, but respectfully, Councilman Carnegie, this is your report, and this is not the time for a back and forth dialogue. If we want to have conversation at the end of the meeting, we are always available and happy to have those conversations, but the purpose of this is not to have a back and forth dialogue, so I'm gonna put an end to that.
Can you just
You
clarify
have your
one
time.
item then, during the 3 minutes that we're allowed to speak? If you guys are gonna answer questions, that soaks up to 3 minutes, so can we keep a stopwatch? Because we could go way longer, I can ask you a question, you expect.
Actually, if you want to be technical about it, 3 minutes is only for people to talk and for us to listen. We only interact with people
Right,
because we tend to be a very respectful board.
Well, I appreciate that, I'm just asking what the process is, that's all.
Yeah, the process is you state what you need to state for 3 minutes, we listen, and that's it.
Okay.
You know, the reason it's open more and more relaxed is you have a more relaxed group of people that govern this town that aren't afraid to interact with people or have a hard conversation. You know,
So
that's,
there's no designated time for a back and forth debate? or
Not at a town board.
Not at a
It's
town
not a
board
town
meeting,
meeting.
yeah.
No, it's a good, no, it's true,
Just
it's
asking the
a,
process.
it's a very fair
And I
question.
do appreciate your support of the topic, I really do.
Yeah, no, it's,
Try to keep it-
look, I've been real consistent on that over the years,
So when,
so.
excuse me. I know I don't have 3 minutes, but when is the time where a person can discuss about the problems? From what I see at this, it's all cut and dried.
The-
You know, there's no discretion on anything.
That's a fair question, I'll answer that.
I mean,
I'd be
there's
happy
gotta
to.
be some discussion back and forth about this stuff without everybody hollering at each other.
So the purpose of a town board meeting is to conduct, this is state law. This is way above any of our pay grades here. A town board meeting is to conduct the business of the town. Legally speaking, a town board does not have to have the request from the floor on there. And for those of you that are in the audience that recall yesteryear with the past administration, they removed that from the board. One of the first things this administration did when we came in is we put it on, and then Councilman Cardicchini spoke 100% accurately, that we do allow this type of dialogue, because I agree with you. But also respectfully, the idea of a town board meeting is conducted business of the town, being the person that presides over, a town supervisor presides over all town board meetings, that's the way the language reads. That's where I try to let the dialogue go on, but I respectfully, out of your time and ours, that's where admittedly, I may stop those things. The 3-minute, that's something that we as a town board decide. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 2 minutes, whatever that number is, that's determined by a town board out of the 933 towns across New York State law. That's the state law. So again, we value the residents' input, we value the dialogue, but technically speaking, to answer the question on this, there is not a format or a forum to have that back and forth dialogue other than at the end of a board meeting. Because if not, it's not part of the process of the town board meeting.
Not to interrupt, Jason, because I agree with you, but I brought it up several times. So when we have this request from the floor, there's still a lot of dialogue and still a lot of new business and other things that has to be discussed. And that's why I asked the board several times in the past, if we put this request from the floor, maybe after everybody has had their thing, and then say the request from the floor, you wouldn't have this dialogue that's going on right now, because that would be at the end, and you could answer those questions, or get those questions, and maybe have more of a clarity to it. And you brought up yourself the project, and you did too, Mike, the project that's going on right now. That project is on hold as of Monday because of the stuff that's going on over there. And the bottom line is, that subdivision can have anything done to it until
Okay.
they find out exactly what it's zoned.
Right, respectfully, this is the board report time, being respectful of everybody's time here. I don't disagree, but that is why the agenda is published. We are merely following New York State law. That's how it is structured. So, yield the floor to you.
That's all I have tonight. I would just add that, 3-minute window, I know that the better the information, the more relaxed the time is. Because people have come to speak to the board, and they've had a lot of things to say, and nobody's ever been cut off here. And speaking to your point, there was a lot of censure on the previous board. They didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to hear it from people. And I think we've tried very hard to reverse that. Every one of us is accessible, to have a conversation and dig deeper in some of these issues. But we're all, engaged. So it's really not that big of a lift to have a conversation with somebody. And with that, I will say happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Those staying in town, I hope our highway department doesn't have to plow snow, and anybody traveling, have a safe trip. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Lukacek, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. So the planning board's meetings are normally the second Tuesday of every month. They do not make different meetings. Everything happens for the agenda in preparation with the board clerk, the code, everybody has opportunity to add to their agenda, and that is assisted by our planning consultant to help the chairman of that board to build the agenda. Do they have time for that? Are they gonna have a quorum? That sort of thing. If they don't have a quorum, generally they don't meet. So that is one of the reasons why we cannot tell you the specific date. And I know that there's a meeting to be scheduled. I don't know if the meeting is actually going to be held. So that's up to the planning board to decide. And just to remind folks, back in 2023, we had told everyone, hey, we're going to be redoing our comprehensive plan. And by the way, here's what the plan does. It looks at different services for residents. It looks at zoning. It looks at planning. What do you want your town to look like? What issues are you having? Where do we need to focus our efforts? We started that in literally 2021. We were finally got a grant and we started it at the end of 2023. So for a year and a half, almost 2 years, we employed people to please participate. We need your voice. We sent surveys out and we've held multiple meetings here at the town hall to say we need your input, we need your voice. So that comprehensive plan has been performed, it is done, so it has the services for residents from the input of the residents. It's got the zoning situation that we have and we're going to want to have for the next 20 years. So hopefully your voice was heard during all that time. The next one probably won't be happening for another 10, 15 years, but it can be revised, but it needs engineering, it needs money towards it. So we were just happy we were able to get a grant to help that move along. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Norton, you have the floor.
Thank you, Supervisor. To address the questions about the squad, aside from the contract issues, one of the larger issues is volunteerism, and I know that the leadership in the squad is very concerned about it. So I know I've asked here before if there's any younger kids that are in college and you're in, a medical field or some type of scientific field, I encourage you to join the squad. Stop down and see them, volunteer your time, get some hours in. That would definitely help the squad because, of course, they are aging and they have limited time and because they're trying to answer all these calls by themselves. And that's probably part of the reason why they haven't gotten to the contract negotiations is they're just overwhelmed. So that's my piece on that. But everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, you have the floor.
Thank you, Supervisor Keating. On Friday, November 21st, from 10:30 till 3 p.m., there will be a HEAP event held here in the courtroom. I did reach out to Erie County Department for the Aging, Adam Kowalik, the representative that I set up the events with. He wanted us to know, as of yesterday, that the program opening has been delayed. So the event will still take place here on Friday. They will have applications available for the public to apply, but that will be for informational purposes only. There has been, from what I understand, funds not released at this time yet. And so he is for the gas bill. There's another program that's called Eclipse. They may be present, and the entities that they allow to be present, possibly for this event, is also National Fuel Gas, NYSEG, and National Grid. I do not know if they will be here. I just wanted the public to know that they may be here for that event. The sharing tree. Here we are coming up on Thanksgiving, so right after that, we do have the Christmas tree put up and decorated, the sharing tree. The tags, I am hoping, will be available early next week. I'm hoping before Thanksgiving, if anyone is looking to shop for those Black Friday sales. But just reach out to my office to see if we have tags available for next week. And the next Connect Life blood drive will be here in the community room not here in the courtroom, in the community room, December 2nd from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. But anyway, unless Mother Nature gives us a dry spell, we're likely not crossing 18 Mile Creek down by Zimmerman Road this season. We've had some conversations, our last meeting was on Veterans Day. We had a meeting, or I had a meeting with the project manager and then also the contractor, 716 Contracting. And right now, with the amount of volume that's coming down 18 Mile Creek, there's an estimate of needing anywhere between 3 to maybe as many as 5 12-inch diesel pumps to keep that volume moving. Essentially what you need to do is so we can cross-cut the creek. This creek was called a cofferdam on one side, cofferdam on the other, pump that water over. And the expedited timeline that's estimated is anywhere between 5 to 7 days, calendar days running straight. So that would be an additional cost right now. The strategy, like I said, unless we get a dry spell, is we're gonna be pushing this all to the spring, just because there's too much flow in the 18 Mile Creek. It is what it is. Mother Nature came a lot quicker than what we thought. So we went from the dry spell, we were delayed by New York State DEC and also Army Corps of Engineers getting the general operating permit to get across the creek. That was the time delay. I reported on that a couple of meetings ago, but unfortunately just the cards did not play out in favor of that. I have had, I should say, a few residents reach out to me regarding the restoration efforts. Now that we're starting to get into the cold season, we're starting to see the frost on the ground. It has been a decision made that there will not be soil placed. So if you're experiencing where the new water lines are, where there's a dip or a low area, obviously the soil is settling. The restoration efforts are not going to happen most likely this year. They will be in the spring. Reason being, if we go out there right now, we put 716 puts the soil down, grass will not grow because we're in a cold season. The frost will kill the seeds. And then also, you'll be left with a mud pit, especially when you get into plowing season with, the roadside snowbanks. So please, if you have an issue, call my office, 716-941-6518. We'll put that on record. Let me know. That will then get added into the contract notes. And then we will, obviously, they're going to be going through and doing complete restoration efforts throughout the entire project. But we will definitely make sure if we can get out to a site sooner than later, we'll get out to that site and do what we can to remediate any resident concerns. So that's water phase 1 update. Rural transit, speaking of volunteers, it seems like every board meeting we're talking about volunteers, whether it's our first responders in any capacity, whether it's the emergency squad or fire companies. Rural transit is looking for volunteers. They're a vital service to our community. There's one driver, and God bless this gentleman, he drives from Springville, rain, shine, snow, you name it, he's here driving people back and forth, one gentleman. He's amazing. He is of a older age and part of our senior community, and he's probably not going to be doing this much longer. So if you happen to know somebody that has some hours during the business day, please reach out to Rural Transit Service because we do need a backup driver. If we lose this gentleman, Rural Transit probably is not going to get a driver that's going to be coming out here to our community. The next closest will be like Orchard Park and Brant. Again, it's just a matter of logistics and also the demand because it's an on-call type service. So there's my public service announcement for Rural Transit to seek volunteers. Friendly reminder about the congregate dining program. I did receive an email from a resident just to bring that out there. Nothing political, but obviously, there was a concern with SNAP benefits, et cetera. But the Erie County does offer congregate dining programs all throughout Erie County. It is available to all senior residents in Erie County. It is a suggested donation of $3 for the lunch. You do not have to pay that, so if money is a concern here. I'm sorry?
It's $3.50.
Thank you for correcting me. $3.50. I forgot that 50 cents. So $3.50. Thank you. It is, again, it's a suggested donation, but please, it's a great social program. The meals are decent. There's a calendar that's available. It's on the town website. Please feel free to take advantage of that. I did want to just touch base. I haven't chatted about Erie in a while. I just had a meeting yesterday. But I am very happy to say that out of the 400 miles, we're possibly going to have the 100 miles of fiber optic cable strung at the poles by the end of the year. As of yesterday's meeting, ECC Technologies had reported to the board that there is 82.5 miles installed and complete all across Erie County, which is a big deal for us. Eventually, probably, fingers crossed, by the end of the year, they'll be going down Boston State Road and making connections to all the anchor points, which are potential fire companies, town hall, et cetera. But that's a really big thing for our community because for those of you that have been asking for many years for something else other than Spectrum, this is where, keep in mind, this is middle mile. I'm just going to clarify this because I get asked all the time. It's middle mile. It is not end mile. So it will get fiber optic at the pole down Boston State Road. The internet service providers, Verizon, Spectrum, any Green Light, which is another big one, that's Tom Golisano's project, they will be then carrying that final mile out to the residential homes. But there will be true glass fiber optic connectivity at the poles at long last through the town of Boston. So that's my update from the Erie Net Board. All right, I got a bunch of things to answer here. I guess I'll start with the holiday lights, because that's always the hot topic. Councilman Cardicchini and Mr. Jackson certainly covered a lot of ground here. Mr. Jackson, I know, and admittedly, I know I kind of cut your time a little bit short there, but there was
3 minutes.
Right. There's a lot of great dialogue on the receptacles and what's there, and the engineer, he brought a lot of great knowledge to the table. So the receptacle boxes that are needed, we were talking about GFI connections. We don't want to have our Parks Department going out there if there's a drip of water going out, shorting this out. GFI, if you're not familiar, any kind of a short, it will trip that breaker, which means that light would be out. We don't want them chasing lights all the time. So we had conversation regarding upgrading the boxes to a different type of style of box for when that goes out to the bid for the contractors, so they can see what kind of box that is. All of the boxes will also have the opportunity to be padlocked, and that will be in a purpose of to prevent theft of services. We could go with the standard box, but also keep in mind that we're making a connection to the, make sure I have my terminology correct, that the primary line that's going down into the box. That's a hot line. That is not like a wire in your house, let's say. So it's an option, not that the town is exploring that at this time, but it will be an option that we could potentially lock those boxes. That would also tie into the ground silhouettes that are on the ground. That's another topic of discussion, and Mr. Jackson did bring up that there was a perceived, we don't, from NYSEG, that they do not have to allow these types of structures. Just an FYI, full disclosure, folks, we may get a little bit of pushback on those silhouettes because that was a concern. Mark Stifter, who's worked very closely with all of us, has said that he's going to fight that battle for us to try to keep those ground silhouettes in place. But again, the biggest concern is having a direct line going from the primary to a box. Granted, there's a fuse disconnect there, or will be a fuse disconnect there, and then into that receptacle, you have a ground unit, which the average citizen can go onto. So just putting that out there, all of this will be part of the bid specs, which the board, I don't have a time frame for you, but there will be a bid specs put out to the contractors. We'll go through the bid process, identify what that cost is. The town board will identify how we want to fund that project, and we'll award that bid, and we'll get all of those poles up to where they need to be. I believe I covered everything in your questions, correct? Okay, thank you. Boston EMS. So I sadly, I cannot answer a lot of questions when it comes to the Boston Emergency Squad. We're in contract negotiations. Like I said, there's been many good faith attempts to reach out to the squad asking to meet to discuss the contract, and those emails have gone unresponded to. I feel awful putting that on record, but you asked, so I feel good, transparent government. They answer these questions. When it comes to staffing, there was a topic that was discussed at a work session, gosh, correct me if I'm wrong, a month and a half ago now, 2 months at least. There's a concern about staffing. It's been on social media, I'm aware of that, it's been in other areas. People need to volunteer. They're looking at a paid, the emergency squad, they're looking at a paid option. Respectfully, doesn't matter who sits in these 5 chairs, that is a decision of the Boston Emergency Squad. The town establishes a taxable district to levy a tax by the taxpayers to provide the service to you. But as far as the operation, in this case, hiring, firing volunteers, et cetera, that is the responsibility of the squad. The town board does not get involved with recruitment, retention, et cetera. That is the way the law is structured. That is why there's a contract for them to provide the service. If you happen to FOIL request the contracts and you look at it, that language is clearly written in there, just as it is respectfully for all 3 of our fire companies. Once the town board settles on that contract, we scratch out a check to the fire companies to provide the same type of emergency services, if you will, and they determine how those funds are spent. The town board does not have a say on how those funds are spent. We can request under state law certain criteria, just like we can with the squad, but again, a lot of this is the framework is in state legislation. It's not always determined by us, whoever sits in these 5 chairs. So anyway, long answer on the contract, but that's where we're at. Yes, we're in the contract negotiations. Sometimes these things take time, unfortunately. I wish I had a better answer, but hopefully they will respond and set up a meeting with us in the near future. I think that is everything I had on that. Regarding drainage, so that, drainage is going to be a little bit of a long one. Mr. Hawkins, regarding the senior center, yeah, I know you and I've had many conversations about that. So many years ago, the town board had established a reserve fund for a senior center. Here's the catch-22 with a reserve fund. They're not always what they're cracked out to be. Under New York State law, a reserve fund can only be used for a specific purpose, and monies cannot be removed from said reserve fund unless it meets the exact criteria that's in the language for that reserve fund. And it also has to be done so by board resolution, so you as the taxpayer can see exactly when. If there's, let's say $100,000, there's not, but if there's $100,000 in this, senior community reserve fund, and whoever sits in these 5 chairs, the town board decides to take out 10,000, you will see a resolution as the taxpayers of taking that money out and what that is for. It has to be used for that specific purpose. That is the purpose of a reserve fund, because it's a dedicated allocation of funds. And it ties into Mr. McLean's conversation when he said that he and I had some conversations. I explained to him that this administration, we created a townwide drainage district. We created a reserve fund funded by excess sales tax funds that did not come out of, well, indirectly, I guess, came out of your money, but it did not come out of your property tax funds, because we funded that with taxpayer funds. And that's how we're tackling the drainage scenario. So as far as committing additional funds, that is always up to whoever sits in these 5 chairs. To answer your question there, I guess I'll say keep an eye on Hamburg Senior Community Center. Still engineering estimates, price per square foot, especially because you have to pay prevailing wage, et cetera, when there's these capital projects in the world of government, you're easily $400 to $500 a square foot. That's a big undertaking. I mean, look to put it in a scale of perspective. Look at what the for phase 1 of the water projects reflected in our this year's budget when that debt service came due. I know people weren't exactly happy that they saw a 7.6% increase in the budget, but when you look at the legally obligated expense that is there, that's a whole other conversation that the town board needs to have a conversation with. Not saying we can't do it, but that's something we need to keep in perspective. Also, in fairness to all taxpayers, a town board should not be levying taxes for a project that is not currently identified, because technically that money belongs in your pocket, not in the town's coffers. So there's a little bit of a dance going on there, admittedly, but that is a conversation. Absolutely, we'll keep that in mind. In today's numbers, I mean, it wasn't that reserve fund, truthfully, would not even pay for engineering services to get a senior center even up and going. So the town would definitely be financing that to some capacity. So there you go. Here's your vicious cycle, right? You're asking for additional funds. We don't have enough funds. There it all is in a nutshell. There's how the sausage is made of a municipal budget. For drainage, there's many things going on in town with drainage. I'm very happy to say, I'll never shy away from this board. We established the drainage, townwide drainage plan, and it's a living document. I know you and I have spoken about that, Mr. McLean. That's a living document. It was townwide. We established a drainage reserve fund so we could partner with Erie County Soil and Water to tackle a lot of the projects. I'm going to knock on wood. We have not had a severe drainage issue yet, keywords. But there we do have a funding mechanism for that. We then get into the semantics of drainage being under New York State highway law. When you're looking at a road, you've got highway law coming in, and how that gets funded. Then you get the off-road drainage, and you get, again, I can take all of this. I'm talking way too much, I know, but there's a lot of information that goes around drainage here. I don't disagree at all. We do have to work with our engineers, which is why we did have, his name is Dave Johnson. He's one of the engineers. He specializes in drainage. He handles the town's MS4, which is the Municipal Septic Storm Sewer System reports for us, which we are legally obligated under New York State law to file with New York State. He's very good at what he does, and he was a gentleman that I was referring to when you and I spoke that was over there on Pin Oak Drive 2 Fridays ago. He was there with our code enforcement team. He was there with, I believe, if I remember correctly, I was not present for the meeting, but also our planning board chair was there, and drainage was absolutely the #1 topic of discussion at that meeting. I don't have timelines for you, or anyone else for that matter at this time, but that is something that needs to be absolutely 100% discussed. Whenever the application comes in from the potential proposed project, because we don't have anything confirmed yet, but when that application comes in, just a friendly reminder, the State Environmental Quality Review Act seeker process will potentially fix some of that on that parcel. Obviously, we still have the secondary component of the roadside drainage on Pin Oak Drive as well. But for some of the drainage concerns there, again, we're going into state law. When a permeable surface becomes non-permeable, the engineer, the design engineer has to create retention basins or infrastructure to mitigate that, so it doesn't go off on adjacent parcels. That's New York State drainage law. So the engineer or design company needs to figure that all out. At which point, the planning board will be able to identify that, review it, scrutinize it, et cetera, et cetera. So I think I've covered all the bases on drainage.
Jason, just one point on the drainage
Sure.
document. It's great to know that it existed, we talked about it.
Yes,
But Pin Oak Drive is not included, and there's no public process for having that document updated. So it sits in a vacuum by itself, and every street that's in it is great, but Pin Oak Drive was never put into the plan. So how
so
did the residents get it added?
our conversation added it, truthfully. And that's what I committed to you on the phone. So when,
It needs to be more, it needs to be way more public than that. It needs to be something that residents who are concerned about their street can easily understand that this document exists, and that they can add to it by requesting it.
so
I found it by accident when talking to you, which is great.
Understood, yes. So one of our board members is the drainage liaison, because again, 2 hills in a valley, we deal with a lot of water here in town. So with that information, I'm gonna take us down memory lane a little bit. But a past board member, who's a drainage liaison, with Larry Murtha and I, we partnered on that townwide drainage plan, because he was the one that was trying to get a lot of those things over the finish line. There's a training that I attended, basically this is how we can legally take, funds and fix these drainage issues, and we have fixed a lot of them. And I agree with you, I guess we have to find a better tool and way to get that communication back and forth between the residents and the town. But I can assure you that not only was it our conversation, but anyone else that has ever contacted the town, if it's something that we can handle, we do. I will also be very honest that there are a few areas in town, I won't go out and, I guess I'll say stir, muddy the waters, but there's a few areas in town where drainage still to this day is a problem. And if you look at the town board meeting minutes and planning board meeting minutes, there was temporary easements on parcels in certain areas, and that it sunset, or the time expired for the town to maintain it. It was on the property owner's responsibility to handle it. So even though there was a new development, even though there was buildings that had gone on, it is no longer the town's responsibility, because legally speaking, Article 8 of the state constitution, a town board, again, whoever sits in these 5 chairs, doesn't matter politics or anything else, cannot legally spend taxpayer money on private property. It doesn't benefit the community as a whole. So just, I know you and I had that conversation, but just so everybody understands. So, because you're technically gifting taxpayer funds, which is illegal. So you get into that, you get many layers to this onion. But that's drainage. So yes, if we have been able to take, as Councilman Carnegie said, if a resident has reached out to us in areas of opportunity to do better, we've tried to absolutely take these things head on and get them addressed as best we can. Lesson learned, we'll try to find better ways to have these communications with the public, because that document does help us work with different community partners, Erie County Soil and Water, Erie County Highway for that matter, the comprehensive plan, try to find ways to fix this, so when we do have these weather events, we're not dealing with water in people's basements, roads flood, and things of that nature. So that was the intent of this, to keep that, it's a living document. Someday after we're not here, I do hope and pray that whoever sits in these 5 chairs takes it seriously and keeps that document updated, because that's the tool, that's the Bible on how to keep that football, moving forward towards the end zone. So,
Is it published on the web?
not yet, but that was an ask from you, yes. It is not on the web yet, but that I did, for the record, I did promise that I would put that out on the web, just like our zoning map, so that will be there. Yep. All right, I think I covered everything. I know I chatted a lot there, but there's a lot when it comes into state drainage. I think I covered everything, so I'm gonna make a motion to end the meeting 8:35 p.m.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Selby,
Yes.
Councilman Carnegie,
Yes.
Supervisor Keating.
Yes.
Councilwoman Richardson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Young.
Yes.
Motion carries.